Greetings, everyone. Is everything working? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Um, Switching over to comment section over here. So, as you can see, the VSS is not set up again from JoeFest. We got back from JoeFest, and I took a day off yesterday. So I just basically wanted to start setting up things and everything, but I kind of turned myself off, that kind of thing. It was a long drive, about 10 hours, stop for gas, that kind of thing. So Google Maps says about 9 something hours, but in reality, it's about 10 hours, a little bit more than 10 hours. So we drove there on Friday and drove back on Monday. And yeah. So anyways, I'm a little okay. Today's Wednesday, so drove back on Monday. So the JoeFest was pretty fun. Met a lot of people, and a lot of people also gave me some good feedback and some good suggestions. And so there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to, mentally digest over the next few days and begin the process on getting started with some of them. For example, a number of folks requested for 6-inch type props. And so, kind of discussed what props we had on display and kind of looked at them as if, how to do them for 6-inch. And so I'm going to start doing some small props in 6-inch to see how that works. And if they sell well, if they don't take too long, if they don't, add more delays, things like that, we'll do them. And so that's one thing. Another thing that came up during JoeFest were things like, like, for example, there was an issue about Planet Green Valley that came up. And I want to make, for anyone who wants to get a refund on their pre-orders, just let me know. And the issue is that on some of the items, some of the pre-orders that are done with a credit card, it's been over a year, and sometimes the credit card companies don't want to issue a refund for that long. So we're looking into other ways to refund money back. And so anyways, that's one item there. And it's kind of important. That's why I kind of like interrupted the fun topic about JoeFest to kind of toss that in, because it needs to get said. Let's see. But moving back to, and I didn't write down any of the items to talk about. Maybe I should have had like a checklist. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and we're going to be making some changes with the store. I already started this morning to remove some of the freebie items, mostly the items that you can download and 3D print yourself, because apparently the web hosting thing has a glitch, I guess, where it has happened twice. This is the second time it has happened, where someone makes an order and they choose a freebie item. So it's to simply download the STL, and the store treats it as everything is shipped. So it doesn't count the shipping. So the order goes through for the physical items. We see a list of the physical items, but there's no shipping. And sometimes shipping can be like $15 or even more, depending on the size. So with that glitch, we get burned on the cost of the shipping. So it has happened twice. So I have removed the freebie section. I will probably put those freebies up on Thingiverse under a Die Warriors account or something like that there. So that way it remains free, but it doesn't go through the system and we don't get burned by it. And I take it off with that because if someone figures out that that's a glitch, they could take advantage and do huge orders and then, get charged no shipping on purpose. And so far, I don't think anyone has done anything like that on purpose, but to, nip it in the bud, going to have to protect ourselves first. So I'll be moving the freebies over to Thingiverse. So that. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So anyway, new stuff. JoeFest was pretty fun. The VSS caught a lot of attention, and that's good. The other item that we were, talking about at JoeFest were the conspiracy action figures that we will be preparing for Kickstarter. Those action figures are sci-fi themed, so there's aliens and astronauts. They are currently in design. They are currently being designed now in 3D, so we're past the initial 2D section. We're thinking about a Kickstarter for next year. Reason is because it's my first Kickstarter, so I'm not quite sure, when's the best time of the year to do it. Do I want to do it in November, December, close to Christmas, or sometime in the summer? So we're kind of, thinking 2022 sounds good to kind of wrap everything up and have, pictures and prototypes printed, prototypes painted, and get all the other supporting material, text, documentation, whatever video that people expect to see on the Kickstarter. There's also the challenge, too, that a lot of folks probably, haven't really embraced the idea of too much sci-fi in a line that's, inspired by G.I. Joe. I know G.I. Joe had Battle Force 2000 and all that. And, and they do have some space vehicles and such. But since then, the effort has been basically real-world military. And so introducing something like, aliens and astronaut might be a challenge for some people to kind of justify why get involved. Well, so we got two things that we're going to be doing with it. One thing is I'm trying to compile a list of ideas. So one thing with the that was kind of weird. Something kind of linked. So one thing that I'm working on is a little booklet, the Die Warriors Blue Book, and I'll post more stuff about this later. It's essentially this is just prototype, but essentially it's a little booklet that's going through the idea of conspiracies and talking about the figures, talking about the aliens, and then also towards the back talking about what you can do in terms of toy photography. So little scenarios of what would be interesting as a starting point for a story. And anything from a derelict spacecraft to something that has crashed on Earth or a planet or some other thing. Anything for like the astronauts, like planetary survival. It has nothing to do with the aliens directly, but you could have an astronaut stuck somewhere trying to survive, or an astronaut team that's investigating a derelict space station. Incorporating some of this into the G.I. Joe universe, you could also have alien retrieval squads. If you watch enough conspiracy shows and stuff like that, Hanger Hanger One, is it on Netflix, for example? They do talk about these artifact retrieval squads that go out to anywhere around the world with on a moment's notice. No regard to border or anything like that. Uh, Go to a site, retrieve the artifact by force or whatever, and then get out and worry about political repercussions later. Well, you can have a GI Joe team, on a mission to retrieve something that has mysteriously changed course as it approached Earth and crashed, and they come across these artifact retrieval squads. Who are these other people? You could have Men in Black shutting down a GI Joe investigation for getting too close to something. Mainframe could be hacking a computer system and comes across some information. So you can do a number of different types of Dio stories, and some of them can be very closed, where you don't have to have a lot of sets or location shots. It could just be focused only, for example, Mainframe talking to Hawk, talking to Scarlet, talking to some other people in a G.I. Joe base. Or it could be out in the field somewhere, go to a beach, it's a desert, it's got some water and there's a mysterious something. And of course, we have aliens, so you can go the opposite direction. Aliens abduct Snake Eyes, and then they have to deal with something. Cobra Commander, Cobra against the Greys. You can, all sorts of interesting things, incorporating the idea with other toy lines. You could have the classic, what is it, B-movie type thing, cowboys versus aliens, or samurai versus aliens. They even have that. So, it's a lot of stuff you can do. And but, some people, like, for example, with me, when I was thinking, it's like, well, how would I incorporate, astronauts or aliens in my figure collection, in terms of story or purpose. And so it took me a while to get started with figuring out how I would use them. And so I figure other people are probably in the same boat. Some people are, very into Star Wars and X-Files and things like that, so it's no problem. But then others, like me, for example, it's like, okay, it's cool stuff, I like sci-fi, but how would I actually use, a conspiracy figure? So working on some ideas like that. Another thing about conspiracy is that because of what Dire Warriors is, we're not just thinking about only figure. We're thinking about things like vehicles and such. And so we're looking into ways on that. At JoeFest, I mentioned a few more of the types of machines that we have and some of our abilities on printing and things. Since JoeFest, I have been thinking about the reception for 3D printed items, comparing how 3D printed items, props from when we started around 2010, that the reception on 3D printed props is a lot better now than it was back then. Back then, I remember people saying that, the layer lines were a big turnoff. They wanted smooth surfaces. It has to be injection molded or they're not interested, things like that. Now, some years later, 3D printing has changed people's opinions, I think. And some people are seeing that, depending on what you do, layer lines may not be an issue. For small, fine-scale stuff where detail is important, layer lines are a bother. You don't want to have layer lines on that. But for larger props, larger things, sometimes those layer lines play a role. Sometimes the item is so large, you overlook it. And so it depends. But the thing is that there's more of an acceptance for 3D printed stuff. which has me thinking about 3D printed vehicles. The VSS is mostly 3D printed. And of course, we don't use everything 3D print, so we take advantage of what machines are capable of doing what and take advantage of how the materials will look. So that's why you see us sometimes with acrylic. For example, I don't have it here. It's probably in a bag that I took with to JoeFest. But so we have a little kiosk computer thing. It's 3D printed. From here, at least on my screen, you don't see layer lines. If I go up close, the quality of the video, you still don't really see too much, but you get a hint of it. It's very smooth. This will work for most stuff. Now, to help with layer lines and stuff, sometimes we cover the front with some styrene or some acrylic because it gives a different look. It's smoother and everything. So it just depends on the type of prop. For really reducing the layer lines, we do other things. Well, you can't see it with the glare. But here's a chess piece, and I brought a chess piece with me to JoeFest to kind of show what we can do, and it's very, very smooth. So it just depends. So we're thinking about, depending on the cost for the manufacturing, we're thinking of doing some vehicles for our Kickstarter. And we could either do 3D printed vehicles. That will keep the cost down as well. So that way the Kickstarter is not so lofty in terms of the goal. Or we can try to see how the cost would be for the vehicles would be to get them injection molded at a big factory. And so as most likely that's going to raise the cost quite a bit. So we have options. And so I wouldn't mind getting some feedback, find out what people think on 3D printed vehicles. So kind of work it out on how we would approach a large vehicle and how we would approach a small vehicle. Because, we have different ideas for the astronauts, for the aliens, whether it's a small personal vehicle or it's a large APC type vehicle. And plus that also how we can incorporate a base as well, moon base, Mars base, things like that. We're also very impressed with the JoeToy diorama system. And so we're thinking of how we can incorporate for a Mars base something to do with the sets that are the size of a JoeToy system and kind of incorporate our system around it. So we're looking into that as well. So there's a number of different things that is coming down the road for the Kickstarter. So it's not just going to be only figure. And we wouldn't be the first to do something where we have the Kickstarter for the figures and we also have the perks, I guess, including a vehicle. Eagle Force Returns did something similar with a 3D printed base. So so we're looking at a similar approach for our Kickstarter. Let's see, what other little things? Orders. So today I will be resuming orders. There's 3 orders that were left to do after JoeFest, so I'll be working on those first. I'll be sending out an email to everyone, letting everyone know when I'm starting their order. And like I said, if you have questions about your order, just send us an email or private message with the order number so we can give you a timely update. One thing I'm doing with this particular room, maybe by the next time another video is done, is the VSS table is going to be moved, I hope, out a little bit. so I have access to the other side of the VSS. Oh, that reminds me too. So with the VSS itself, a lot of folks like the sci-fi looking beams that was done to construct the engine room area. So I am thinking of taking the VSS engine room to the next level and going, making it more production. So with that said, I am looking at I don't want to say redesigning, but modifying the existing engine room just a bit to make it more about screws rather than gluing for assembly, and making the engine room available to anyone who wishes to duplicate what I'm doing. So this is going to be an interesting little experiment, really, because these beams do take time. I will be doing the beams on a per order basis. I think I'm going to try to have some inventory because they do take a lot of time. But if you're interested in duplicating what we do with VSS 002, I'm going to try to make all those components available: the greebles, the beams, floors, and things like that, all available. So I'm looking at redoing the engine room for a production style. And the other advantage of that is you can take the same type of beams and things, and you can apply it to a standard VSS or other projects, and make things more sci-fi looking. I think my voice is getting kind of dry. Yeah, a little bit better. So, oh yeah, my voice sounds better. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm going to be doing with the engine room. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to present it out there. Maybe through the Die Warrior store. Maybe it might be done in such a way. I don't know. Maybe it'll be done where you can send me a private message, that kind of thing, and I'll get something going. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see how that goes. So other little things I'm going to do with this room is reorganize this room. You can see there's a lot of stuff that I had to move off of the VSS just to disassemble it, and I placed it here. So and I'm going to be placing the banners for Conspiracy in the back. And so there were more questions about the aliens actually for Conspiracy. The banner showed one astronaut and one alien. We have more than just one astronaut and more than one alien. And we are talking about wave 2 that we would like to see get done also. So if wave 1 Kickstarter is successful, we will begin wave 2, introducing other aliens and other astronaut type stuff. And we do have a lot of ideas that were discussed with the design studio. And so some people may not be aware, but it's not me who's designing the figures, okay? So I'm not that talented when it comes to something like ZBrush, where we have employed a professional design studio that has a lot of experience in doing figures. And the figures production will be in good hands. And I think at the moment that's all I can say without tipping my hand or anything like that. But it's a very professional design studio with lots of experience, and I think people will be pleased that we're using them and not winging it ourselves. So anyways, so far the designs that I have seen that I haven't posted about, very impressive. The other thing about Conspiracy is that since we do have our own ability to 3D print items and stuff, we are looking at other small prop vehicles, things that we do want to make available, some for free, some for, that we make over here and assemble. Let's see, I just got the message. Let's see what's going on. Okay. See. Unfortunately, sometimes the comments don't come onto my screen here. I think when it comes to personal comments. So let me just quickly take a look on my Facebook page and see if I see anything. Sometimes Facebook doesn't refresh. It's weird because of the permissions on Facebook. Sometimes when you have a stream that's using your private account as well as other pages and stuff that you have, Facebook tries to get very restrictive with the privacy policies, and so sometimes not everything shows up. Let's see. Maybe Diverse Store. Okay. Well, I got told that there's a comment, but I don't see any comments. So post a comment. Test. Diverse Store, Diverse TV. Anyways, I think I'm getting comments from Diverse Store and Diverse TV on YouTube. So Diverse Store on Facebook and Diverse TV on YouTube. And so far, I don't see any comments. So if I well, yeah. I see a comment. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to have to just read the comment here. Let's see, by Enrique, if I pronounce correct. Do you have numbers for wave 1, like how many astronauts and how many aliens would be made available? Yes, 4 and 4. There will be 4 aliens, all based on the gray style. There will be 4 astronauts and different roles. Because of the type of astronauts we're doing, you'll see we're still working on some of the stuff out, different helmets and things like that. So there will be some uniqueness, and don't forget too that for the Kickstarter, all this is to get us going in terms of action figures. We try to do, to get going with action figures, selling the Planet Green Valley stuff, and that fell through. And I really don't want to do any more ever with Planet Green Valley. So just trying to finish off, if it's possible, whatever we can get, and then send them out. But that's a whole other issue, and I don't want to say anything bad because who knows what the future has, if people get their act together, maybe a future thing might be possible. But right now, it's a mess, and so I don't want to elaborate too much because I don't want to, piss off anyone out there. But creator wise, so I don't want to burn bridges, in other words. But yeah, so this our conspiracy project is not a Planet Green Valley thing. We will be controlling conspiracy, and so far we think that we are taking the right moves with it, because we have already secured a foothold with factories in China that would be capable of producing. And so it's going to be no surprises there. I mean, they have produced other action figures that people are currently buying. So it's not like some factory out of the blue and turns around and says, hey, we can't do it. So anyway, conspiracy will be controlling it, and it should be a smoother experience for everyone, including us, because I tell you, we're getting burned by the experience with Planet Green Valley, and it's just going to make us look bad, and of course it's going to come up in Kickstarter as well. It's a nightmare. Anyways, so I'm getting back to the comments. Yeah. Oh, John, hey, another comment asking, like a realistic sci-fi. Yes, this would be like a realistic sci-fi type thing. And it will be, the astronaut designs are a little bit in the future, but based on real world technology. We look at current trends with future battlefield battlesuits. If you do searches on battle suits for the future on Google, you will find that there's a number of developments out there to develop it's almost like a Halo suit for the battlefield, using 3D printed armor, using sometimes using reactive armor, small reactive armor. There's prototype suits out there using exoskeletons. It's like the battlefield for the future is going more towards the video game style rather than open exposed helmets and things like that. So our astronauts are designed with that in mind, a futuristic battlesuit, basically designed for space. Elements, I do have explanation in the blue book. So when this comes out, it will show, things about the astronauts. Let's see. Right now, I have 2 pages printed on as one, but okay. But there's little things like this here. You can see, where I do explain the different types of elements of the suits. So it's not like, a total suspension of belief. You can, intelligently incorporate the limitations of the suit into a proper dial story, if dial stories are your thing. Aliens are they're I don't want to say real world, but because until we come up with an actual photo, so these will be witnessed descriptions of aliens, such as the Greys, and there's different types of Greys out there apparently, and some Greys are benevolent, others are aggressive. There's been reports of military having confrontations with Greys that have fought and killed soldiers as well. There's rumors of aliens. Hey, cool. There's rumors of aliens possibly having some sort of treaty. They don't list out a government specifically, so maybe a treaty with the deep state. So I know this is going to make me sound like a conspiracy expert. Okay, I have to do a lot of research in all of this. Whether you believe the conspiracies that are out there or not, that's besides the point. The way the action figure theme is focusing, it's about conspiracies in general. That could be Men in Black, that could be UFOs, that could be Bigfoot. That could be anything from the deep state, that could be political intrigue, that could be corporate spying type stuff, that could be hacking type things, that could be crop circles, that could be things being done in orbit, that could be some rogue country sending out satellites to potentially threaten and harm another country. That could be Space Force type stuff. And if you look at that too, the U.S. is not the only one with a Space Force. And there's, in terms of the political aspects of stuff, there's countries out there that do want to militarize space. There's corporate interests of space as well. There's legal things about space. So there's a lot of stuff that you can incorporate, real world stuff. Some of it as conspiracy, some of it as real world non-conspiracy. But in any case, you need astronauts. In any case, if you go with the conspiracy side, you need aliens. So, and the other thing about conspiracy is that it's designed to be vague. We try not to set aside any particular story. So it's up to the collector how they want to incorporate conspiracy into their collection. If they want to have the deep state as an enemy, as a secret enemy, let's say for G.I. Joe, for example, they come across some trail that leads them from one point to another, each point revealing that there's something else going on, and then one day they come across some other team that has advanced weapons, and that's they can do that. If they want to have their Joe team, for example, side with a deep state kind of thing, suddenly you have Hawk who is doing things, and the Joe team are whatever. You could have the deep state as the good guy. So it's all up to you. If you want to have an aggressive alien species threatening Earth, that's there. If you want to have a benevolent species helping the people of Earth, that's also possible. We try to be vague. It's up to the collector how they want to incorporate. Good comment by Matt O'Neill. I love it. Blue Book, just like the Air Force project back in the day. Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to use the same type of wording as well. So, of course, this is a thick binder, okay? But what I want to do for the Kickstarter is to have a little booklet available for anyone that pledges. So, standard will be a Blue Book order. And so if you can read here, I'll post a picture of the cover. But it says, Die Warriors Blue Book, Special Report Number 1. Analysis of reports pertaining to conspiracy relating to unidentified aerial objects. Wave 1. As 25th June 2021. JoeFest. For official use only, AFR 190-16, which from what I understand is an actual code. I kind of forget what it means, but it is a code. Air Technical Intelligence Center, Groom Lake Air Force Base, Nevada. So, and of course, if any government agency has a problem with Groom Lake part, I can change that. So, but yeah, it's going to be, the way this book starts off. Besides table of content, the first thing is a disclaimer. And how to get more information. Because I have a QR code. Because I figure as information gets developed on new ideas, just print out and just insert into a booklet. I introduce with a conspiracy beginning with what's called the Galactic War between the Greys and the Reptilians. I have other topics there. Then I start going into the types of Greys that we're doing for the Kickstarter. And of course, there's other species that I just begin to touch on. There's a lot of empty spaces here, as I intend to fill that in. But then when you get into, so here's the section about suits. Talk about the helmets, the smart suits. Poor light here. I can't really read it now. Yeah, I'll read that later. Let's see. There is a section in here talking about the aliens directly. So I have different kinds of aliens here. I'm not putting it on the camera on purpose until the proper reveal. I will be revealing additional, pictures and things as time goes on. So as we get further developed, as we develop the line a little bit further, I will be showing some more pictures. Reason is I don't want to show everything all at once, because it's the same reason why Marauders doesn't want videos on their Marauder Mayhem. There's a lot of threats out there, a lot of competition, a lot of things that could derail and upset our plans. So this is my way of keeping it under wraps as much as possible. Everything from alien weapons and gear, sections on that. And finally, towards the end, I start talking about the dive story ideas, start talking about deep states ideas, an outpost idea, a World War II idea, a planetary idea, post-apocalyptic themes, fantasy themes, laboratory themes, space themes, ancient world themes, everything, including the VSS. So an easy way is, if you collect action figures like Star Wars, the dime novel legend ones, the cowboy lines, fantasy from boss fights, Marauders, other action figures out there, they all have their own themes. And so the dive story ideas that I'm doing is generic enough that you could incorporate a Star Wars, I don't want to say Star Wars theme, Star Wars figures or Star Wars like setting, a Marauder setting, a fantasy setting, a time travel setting, for example, the Greeks, the Spartans from boss fights. You could have a laboratory setting, zombies, other things like that. You can incorporate these other lines with the generic themes that I'm introducing, these ideas. So you can incorporate that into however you want. Hey, yes, excited for this line. You are giving us the ideas to make our own stories, your own stories. Yes. And it's going to be a bit of a challenge. And part of it is I don't want to write the stories themselves. So I'm putting like a paragraph or two of an idea, and then moving on to the second idea, paragraph or two, then second and third idea, down the line like that. So it's almost like paragraphs as bullet points in terms of the ideas. Some of them I don't have any idea except for one. Others I have a whole bunch of ideas that's maybe is too much. So things like that. Themes are exciting, I agree. and things make it easy to kind of digest and see a larger picture as well. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, I'm trying to see. Okay, more. Okay, now going back to Facebook, some more comments. Let's see. Here's a comment from Enrique. If you can disclose, did you decide if the suits will be molded in or separate pieces to assemble? A bit of both. The suits will be, because the issue is maximizing the articulation. So we're leaning towards, and all this can change, but we're leaning towards basically, for the bulk of it, a molded spacesuit. Reason is you can't really get a good range of motion for articulation with add-on gear, unless the gear is very soft and flexible, and even then it's going to be resistance against the angle of some of the parts. So it's a custom. The astronauts are very custom, and so it'll be a very unique approach on figure design. The aliens, they're in their own different thing, because the alien bodies will be very thin. So, but the aliens will be, their own thing. So this is about trying to maximize the amount of articulation and the range of articulation. But there will be add-on components, backpacks, pouches, belts, gears, things like that. And, so that also implies that some of the weapons may also have to be, specialized as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the finished designs actually work. And so, like I said, all this can change too, because, if we get a prototype printed and it just doesn't work, well, then we'll redo it, So, but yeah, this is not your typical action figure, boom, 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 there, just like everyone else does. This is different. It's a different beast. Okay, another post from John. Some of these ideas are out there for both disabled veterans as well as military. Maybe you can work both the DoD and the sci-fi aspect. Brilliant minds like yours can successfully work them both. Yes, we are incorporating some ideas that it's interesting, because I never read the books for what is it? There was a movie that came out based on some books. Starship Troopers, I think. Didn't the books have talk about like if an astronaut gets wounded or something, the suit can amputate or something like that, that particular limb? I'm not quite sure, but I was reading like a summary of the books, and that was discussed there. So the idea is like you're up in space and something happens and it bypasses your armor. A self-healing suit would be nice. So, the suit has to have that type of technology. There's micrometeors to deal with. So the armor on the suits have to be different kinds, using hardened armor, using ceramic type armor, using other kinds of armor, to take into consideration energy weapons, different kinds of energy weapons, radiation weapons, as well as physical ballistic type weapons. And so we do put certain armor points on the suits to intelligently protect things like the onboard computer system for the suit. There's things like this, if you're an astronaut floating around, you know, you're dealing with effects of, how would I say, no horizon. Any way is up, or this way that's up, or this way that's up. And so we're thinking, if there's a firefight or something that goes on, and you don't really have an orientation, the suit is going to be your best bet to guide you of what is actually up, to orient, as well as assist with aiming, assist with survival. So the suit will have to have a computer, onboard computer, and to help survivability of the suit, instead of having the computer in a backpack, we're thinking of wearable computer components. And so you have your computer components distributed throughout your body. We're thinking also, like, have the core of the computer somewhere by the helmet. The idea is, well, if the astronaut gets hit in the head, if the astronaut is taken out by headshot, well, what good is the computer going to do? So we have the vitals for the computer, by the helmet, and then everything else kind of distributes throughout the suit. So you'll see pouches and hardened points to protect areas of the suit as well. So that adds to the bulk of the design. And there's other things, wireless communication to your devices. We use Bluetooth here. Why not use a type of Bluetooth less prone to jamming up in space? Let's see. And once another post. And once a successful millionaire, you will have the figures design box set. Yeah, that would be nice. One of these days, that would be nice. Okay, another post by Enrique. Oh. So maybe I answering these. Oh, I see how the post is doing. Okay, so the new posts are posted up top, and the old posts are on the bottom. Okay. Yeah, so I'm answering the posts in reverse order. Sorry about that. Let's see. Getting back to the stream thing. Greetings, Alexis. So to recap, conspiracy is going to be, quite different in approach. A very intelligent design for the figures, as well as the role of the figures, like how the suits are actually designed. So if you do like the old days of G.I. Joe with a blueprint about the vehicles and such, explaining different parts of the vehicle, you will like conspiracy as well. We're doing a blueprint type thing too. We're still working on issues about compatibility, but basically compatible to G.I. Joe. So similar backpack type designs, foot pegs, things like that. This is wave 1. So wave 2, we have other kinds of figures that are not necessarily designed for as an astronaut. We do have some, but we do have more normal body proportions, because we want to do things like pilots, drivers, laboratory people, things like that. And so those obviously can't be in a spacesuit. And see, what else can I say? So those were some ideas there. So as time goes on, we'll be posting more pictures. And let's see, what else? Oh, that's about it, really. So as a recap, I'm going to, after this video, I'm going to start getting back with the orders, and I'll be sending out an email to orders that I'm resuming, so people are not left guessing. in terms of the VSS, I'll be making those sci-fi type beams and things. Basically, all of the stuff that I do on the VSS, I will now start making them available. So I will be redoing the engine room for a more production rather than a prototype set. So you'll see me rebuild the engine room section. And so if you want to follow or reproduce, I guess you could say now's the time that I'm going to be making that possible. Also, as a recap, we're going to try some experimentation with 6-inch. So we will try to upscale some chairs, upscale some other small items that don't really need to be redesigned. And then others we're going to completely redesign and start with some small consoles, the stuff with the acrylics and all that. So try to make things more interesting for the 6-inch market. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I have a whole bunch of other ideas for 118 when it comes to consoles and other props. And so those are going to be hitting the store soon as well. I'll be posting pictures of that. So I'm getting back into the groove of things. So also, as another recap, if you want to get refunded for Planet Green Valley, please contact us. And if you have like a credit card payment done with that, there may be an issue because it's more than 1 year. So we're looking into other ways to refund. So contact us on that. So no one's going to lose their money. They're just going to, just have to let us know. And let's see, any final thing? That's it, I guess. So after this, I'll be starting the orders, and I'm going to start cleaning up everything. So the next time you see the video, this should look a little bit different. And from here on out, we're going to go more towards the Kickstarter for Conspiracy. And give me feedback, people. Just let me know if you have an idea. Send me a private message or send me an email. If you have idea, like for example, this would look nice in 6-inch, or I wish they would convert this 1/18 scale prop into a 6-inch version. Ideas like that too. Let me know. Other ideas too. Just give me some feedback. Oh, this would be a great idea for Conspiracy. Well, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, folks, we had a great time at JoeFest, and so now, after a day of resting, I am going to get back started with everything. So it's going to be work for me here on out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the video. Watching the video. I don't know. My mind. Maybe my mind is still over there in Augusta. So. Not 10 hours of driving, 20 hours when you consider both ways. Oh yes, same here. Any posts that were not answered, I'll try to do on the next video. Thanks for the updates. Thanks. I really appreciate the comments, folks. Any ideas, just like I said, just let me know, and we'll see what we can do. And especially about the blue book, so ideas on that too. Let me know. Okay, thanks. I'm going to end the video now and get started.